Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on something that affects us all, believe it or not,
Oh, yeah.
tariffs. Using this article from blogwidow.com as our guide.
Sounds good.
It might seem like kind of a dry economics topic,
Sure.
but trust me, it really directly affects what we all see and pay for, especially when we're shopping online.
It's
From like that cool imported gadget to even your basic groceries, tariffs are often this hidden factor
wow.
in those
Yeah.
prices. So let's unpack this together, see what's really going on.
All right. Yeah.
So what are tariffs, really?
Well, the interesting thing is that tariffs aren't just random taxes, they're tools
Oh, okay.
that governments use to try to shape global trade. The Blog Widow article actually does a good job
Yeah.
of breaking down the main types. We've got ad valorem, which is like a percentage of the goods value.
Okay.
Then there's specific, which is just a flat fee per quantity.
Uh-huh.
And then mixed, which combines both of those. So, for example, you could have a 10% tariff on a car imported from another country. Let's say it's a $30,000 car.
Okay.
That would mean a $3,000 tariff is added on top of that price.
So it's not just one size fits all.
Right, exactly.
Is the goal always to make imports more expensive, though?
Not necessarily.
Or are there other reasons why a government might want to use these?
Well, a big one is protectionism.
Protectionism.
So, like, imagine you're a local furniture maker,
Yeah.
and suddenly there are all these cheaper imports that flood the market, and they're undercutting your prices.
Right.
Now, a tariff on those imports could help level the playing field.
Okay.
It would help your business,
Right.
and by extension, help protect jobs in your community.
That makes sense. But wouldn't that also mean that consumers might end up paying more for that furniture?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a trade-off.
Okay.
The article uses the example of a 25% tariff on Chinese steel.
Oh, interesting.
While this might help protect domestic steel producers,
Right.
it also means anything using steel, like cars, appliances, construction, all that, potentially gets more expensive for the consumer.
So there's kind of a ripple effect there. Is it ever as simple as tariffs are good or tariffs are bad?
It's rarely black and white.
Or is it always this balancing act?
Yeah, it's very complex. So take that steel tariff example a little bit further. Protecting those jobs, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But what if, in response to that 25% tariff, China puts tariffs on our exports?
Oh.
So suddenly, American farmers, let's say, who are selling soybeans to China, they're facing a whole new hurdle,
Right.
which impacts their livelihood. The article uses the U.S.-China trade war as a prime example
Oh, yeah.
of how this tit-for-tat can escalate and really hurt both sides in the end.
It sounds like things can get messy pretty fast.
For sure.
And the consumer, us, we're caught in the middle, right?
Right.
We end up paying more or maybe having less choice. The article mentions that this can impact online businesses too.
Absolutely. You know, if an online store relies on imported goods, those tariffs get passed down as higher prices to the consumer. Plus, you can also see supply chain disruptions during these trade wars leading to shipping delays
Wow.
or even items just being unavailable for a time. It's a good reminder that seemingly global events can really hit your virtual shopping cart
Yeah, for sure.
in a very real way.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not just individual businesses or products we're talking about here.
Right.
The article dives into kind of the broader economic argument against tariffs. The main one being that they can distort markets
Okay.
and hinder efficient resource allocation.
So instead of countries focusing on like what they're best at producing,
Exactly.
tariffs almost push them to produce things that they might not be as good at, just to
Yeah.
avoid those import taxes.
Precisely. Imagine trying to grow bananas in Alaska.
Okay.
I mean, you could do it, sure, with enough effort and enough resources.
Right.
But wouldn't it be more efficient to import them from a region that's naturally suited
Right. Yeah.
for banana production? Without tariffs, countries naturally kind of gravitate towards producing what they excel at,
Yeah.
leading to, you know, better quality goods and lower costs for everyone.
It's like forcing a square peg into a round hole
Yeah, exactly.
instead of letting things flow naturally.
It-
But hold on, the article also mentioned that tariffs can be a source
Well,
of
yeah.
government revenue.
Right.
Is that still a factor today?
Historically, tariffs were a major revenue source,
Okay.
especially before income taxes were widespread.
Interesting.
Nowadays, they play a much lesser role in like developed economies,
Yeah.
but they still contribute to government coffers, so it adds another layer to
Right.
the decision-making process for sure.
So it's not just about like protecting local businesses or
Weird.
playing this kind of trade war chess. There's a financial element too.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a lot more to this than meets the eye.
It is complex, each decision having a ripple effect, for sure. And the Blog Widow article does a really good job of highlighting how tariffs aren't just this abstract
Right.
economic concept. They actually have very tangible consequences
Yeah.
for everyone involved,
Right.
businesses and consumers alike.
And speaking of consequences, let's bring this back to our listener.
Okay, yeah.
How might tariffs directly affect, their everyday life, particularly their online shopping habits?
So consider this. You're browsing for a new phone online.
Okay.
If it's imported and subject to a tariff,
Uh-huh.
you might see a higher price tag compared to, let's say, a domestically produced model.
Makes sense.
Or maybe you're looking at that trendy imported clothing item.
Yeah.
Well, a sudden trade war could mean shipping delays or even just limited stock.
Oh, wow.
So,
So even seemingly simple choices like what tech gadget to buy,
Right.
what clothes to wear,
yeah.
can be influenced by these tariffs.
Yeah, they're often there kind of behind the scenes.
It's like a hidden cost woven into our shopping decisions.
Exactly. And the impact can extend beyond individual purchases, too.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're planning a home renovation.
Uh-huh.
If tariffs drive up the cost of imported lumber
Right.
or steel,
Yeah.
your entire project budget could be affected.
Wow, it really does hit close to home.
It does.
It seems like we're constantly interacting with the effects of tariffs
For sure.
without even realizing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like tariffs are this invisible hand shaping the market,
Yeah.
influencing what we buy, how much we pay,
Right.
even what's available sometimes.
Absolutely.
This blogwidow.com article has really opened my eyes
Yeah.
to how deeply connected this all is.
Yeah, and that interconnectedness is really key.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing about tariffs isn't just about understanding economics. It's about being a more informed consumer overall.
Right.
Like when you see a price hike on something,
Yeah.
or your favorite online store has those shipping delays,
Uh-huh.
tariffs might very well be a part of the story there.
So what can our listener do with this knowledge? It feels kind of overwhelming to think we need to become like trade experts just to shop online.
Yeah, it's not about becoming an expert. It's
Okay.
more about just having that awareness.
Okay.
So when you're making purchases, especially online, consider the origin of the product.
Okay.
Is it imported? Could it be subject to tariffs? And sometimes
Yeah.
supporting local businesses, even if it means paying a little bit more,
Right.
can help kind of mitigate some of those impacts.
Like voting with your wallet in a way.
Exactly.
Supporting businesses and practices that align with your values.
Yeah, and even just staying informed about trade developments, like even just reading the headlines
Right.
can give you some good context.
Right.
Is there talk of new tariffs?
Yeah.
Is a trade war brewing? This knowledge can really help you understand like potential price fluctuations
Yes.
or supply chain issues down the road.
So it's about connecting the dots from global news to our own shopping carts.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been fascinating, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
I never really gave this much thought before.
It's really easy to overlook.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of kind of digging deeper, right?
Uh-huh.
Uncovering these hidden forces that shape our world.
Right.
It empowers us to make better, more informed choices, as consumers and as citizens.
Well said.
Yeah.
So for our listener out there, the next time you're browsing online
Yeah.
or hitting the shops, remember that tariffs might be playing a role, often behind the scenes.
Right.
It's a complex issue, no easy answers.
Absolutely.
But understanding the basics can really empower you to navigate the market a bit more savvily.
I think so, yeah. Just keep asking questions, stay curious.
Yeah.
Remember that even those seemingly small choices
Yeah.
can have ripple effects in our interconnected world.
And that's your deep dive on tariffs. Stay curious.